Alright guys, so we are back here with our dialogue session. Because remember what we did in the last episode is that when you click here and is a final, we end the conversation. But now we have a problem. That if you come back and you click on yes, nothing is happening. And we need to basically sort that. So let's get this thing done. To sort this, we need to basically do this, goes back to the main widget, and then rebuild and reload this stuff. So to do this, what we need to do is that let's just first abstract this. So let's just create here a custom event called API load question. Now we do need to pass the question that we are loading. So I think, so if I break that, that's fine. I can pass the row name, which is exactly what we're looking for. So I can just pass the row name, copy here, load it there, move this right here, and that's everything we need to do. Now, however, there's one tiny issue. We need to know that here we need to load the information again, right? So what we can actually do is, no, actually don't, sorry. This is not an issue because, yeah, don't worry about it. I thought that we had to call this again. Anyway, now what we're gonna do is that we need to break this. We need to get the main widget and call the load question, right? Plug this value here, but this is not gonna work right away because look at the issue. If I show you before I fix, like it doesn't load the right answer, right? It's not loading the right thing. This is probably because, let me just have a look, what is the question that we are loading up? Final, perfect. So when it loads this back, we need to get the dialog slot. We need to clear anything on it. So clear children. And then we can go back to this and that should in theory work. Now, before I do that, let's check what is just say, okay, no problem. You say that it has two options. But I believe the only option we should have here is no, right? We can have more options, but let's just have a look what happened. Go back. Yes. Okay, no problem. You see? Now, look how cool is this now. Now, what we can actually do is that on the main dialog, we can duplicate this and we can say, for example, okay, right? And here you can go and say, okay. And then we can also create another option called back, right? Or back, right? So now what happened is that both options, they end the conversation. Actually not, they don't end the conversation, but they are triggering the same thing. Actually, okay can end the conversation, but not the other one. Now, if I go back to the dialog, I have okay, no problem. Let's add a couple of options. That's the only part that I wish I could improve this, but we will have to start to create a plugin to do this, but I'm not really a fan of creating a plugin right now. Let's just make it nice here. So we have okay and back. Make sure that the prefix E makes sense. Now we can do okay. Now we can do back. And let's see if you can get into a loop. So yes, back. Oh, sorry. This is a, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's actually, oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay. No, that's when you press, sorry guys, I'm getting very confused. When you press yes, it ends the conversation. That's it. But when you press no, it calls the final, which goes back here and calls this one final, which has the option here to okay and back. So let's have a look. No. No, yes, no. Why is that? Let's go back here to no. It does not end the conversation. The yes ends the conversation. This one, no. Okay, that should work. Okay, that's it. So then it can go back. So it goes back to here. So as you can see, you get into a loop. And you can say something, you know, better. You can polish this after, but you can say stuff like bye, you know, bye-bye. They're like, bye-bye. Cool. And then you walk around. Perfect. Now, we have to create some kind of cinematic, you know, transition. So we can actually get the player here and we can say, first, you don't want the player to be able to move, I guess. So that it's actually already achievable, right? For that to be to handle, all you have to do here is just that you get the character here, where's the capsule? Well, stop movement immediately, right? And I think we have disable input, so you can't input anymore. You already have the player controller, right? And then enable input. You pass the player controller, and that's it. So let's have a look. So you go back, yes, and then you see you can talk about, yeah. Now one thing I would like to do, and this is just me being, you know, my OCD level, let's say, but when you're actually working with games, you kind of have to think about this stuff anyway. But what we can actually do here is that we can rotate the actor to look at the character, right? So to do that, we need a reference of the owner. Let me just have a look. So if I do a print here, get the owner, what does he come up as? Let's have a look. It's a third person character. I think that's fine. What we can do is set actor rotation, right? Or maybe look at, find, let me have a look, look at function, yes, okay. Let's just give this more space to work, because we probably will need more space to work. So the first thing is that we need to look at function, right? Current transform, so get actor transform. Perfect. Now, the target position, we need to get the interaction actor. Get actor position or actor location, that's fine. Now, look at vector, I don't know. Up vector, also I don't know. So I don't necessarily look, find relative look at rotation. I think that's the best one. Let's have a look first. And then we can set actor rotation. Now we may have a problem, but let's just double check this works right away. Nope. Yes, thank you. We go back to so it does work, but we need to do this when we are interacting with the character. Okay, so when we do this stuff here, actually that's when we have to look at this. Let's have a look. Kind of works, but it's looking in the wrong direction, which is not exactly what we're looking for. Target position, So look, actually, maybe we don't want the relative location. We just want the look at function. So we can break this. We can do the rotation maybe. Let's have a look. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Nope. Bye-bye. Okay, let's have a look. So go back. It kind of works, but let me have a look. It's the best way of doing this. Alright, guys. So I was looking for this, actually, which is just called find look at rotation. So you just do find look at rotation, and you get the owner, in this case our player character, and then the actor that we're trying to find, and look what happened. You always look to the character. Now we can actually make it, if you want, like a smooth effect, but to be honest with you, when you're playing games, it doesn't matter that much. You don't, like, if you are trying to interact with an NPC, you don't really care if it's so smooth or not, unless you're trying to create a realistic game, but that's up to you. So that concludes this part of the tutorial. So this creates a conversation that we can actually use. You know, as you can see, it has a loop. So, hero, can you help me? Yes. And then it gives you another task, whatever. We can actually do that. But let's try in the next video set up the camera to see, as we interact, we get different camera angles. Alright, once again, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I see you in the next one.